Welcome to G-Con95. Hopefully, if Toho does not get its way, we'll be the first of many. We have a few announcements to make before I introduce J.D.Leeds, who's really the man who's the heart behind G-Fan and getting us all together. Due to certain problems that we had in the last 2 weeks with Toho, I regret to inform everyone that we will not be able to show Space Godzilla or Mechagodzilla. However, we will be showing Gamera tomorrow night. We also have a couple of schedule changes due to guests that are arriving late, so this is a great souvenir booklet, but we're going to wing it. So, basically the idea about this get-together was last year when JD, myself, and Robert Biondi decided to meet in the Chicago area, which was central to all of us, we had a couple of people who were contributors to G-Fan, and they decided that this would be a good opportunity to get together and meet and socialize. We had about 25 people in the Chicago area who got together last year, and things went over so well that we decided to make it a little bigger, invite more friends, anyone who's interested in Godzilla, and get together and have, which is basically the first Godzilla convention in the United States. If things go well, I hope everyone will have a fine time. A very relaxed program so that we can socialize, get to know each other, and just have a good time enjoying what we all enjoy best. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce Mr. J.D.Leeds, the publisher of G-Fan and the head of the Godzilla Society in North America.
Not like much of everything else that's going to go on this weekend, I'm sure, is a surprise to me. As John may have pointed out, we are not professional convention stagers or anything like this. This whole thing, like the evolution of G-Fan itself, has been very much like being on a roller coaster over which one has no control. And we found ourselves here, and we thought we'd try to put together a meeting for everybody who was interested to come and have a good time for the weekend. So I begin by thanking you all for coming very much, and wishing that we do all have a good time over the weekend. I think we will, because as John said, last time there were a few of us together and we had a tentative program planned, and we were going to watch some movies and so forth, and we found that the social aspect of it, the talking and getting to know each other and sharing our ideas, took up so much of our time and was so much fun that we actually canceled a couple of the movies we intended to watch just so we could have more time to be human, I guess, instead of zombies sitting in front of a screen and watching. So hopefully something like that will happen again this weekend. I thought that today I would have a little bit of time to sit back and relax and write a little speech of greeting for you, and as it turned out, we were so busy putting up posters and registering everybody and so forth that I'm kind of up here to wing it. So John dispensed with the history part of our previous meeting. This time it's a meeting that's considerably larger and a little bit more formal. As John said, we have a very flexible program because, again, we are going to have to roll with the punches as we see how things go. And we're going to be asking you, through the ballot that we've included with your registration material, if you think it's worthwhile to do this again. I have a feeling if we do, that it'll probably be another sort of a quantum leap up in terms of size, and so in that sense I'm glad that we have this manageable meeting and are able to sort of keep it among friends. And I think of the people who read G-Fan, because I assume that most of you found out about this through the advertising we've done in G-Fan. I think of us all sort of as friends, some of us who just haven't met each other yet. One of the wonderful things that has come about from G-Fan, and I get this over and over again from people, and this is my story too. When I was growing up, I didn't know anybody else who liked Godzilla, really. I went to the movies with my friends. I was fortunate enough to be able to see Godzilla versus the Thing in the theater. That was the very first movie that I ever saw in the theater, and maybe that's part of the reason why the hobby has stuck, because I still consider that to be one of the classics of the series. And when you're a little boy of 7 or 8 and your dad is taking you to see this thing, that's a good way to start it off. And my friends went with me to some of the later ones, and I dragged some friends to see some of the 70s ones that came. I remember I went to see Godzilla versus Megalon twice in the theater, and one time there was one other person in the theater with us, and the other time there was nobody with us. And you know, this was kind of embarrassing, I guess, for me. My friend was a little bit bemused. Godzilla 85 was different, actually. I took all my friends to that. I have to pay for them, of course, but at least there was a theater full to see it. But really, in terms of any kind of a serious interest or noticing any differences between the Godzillas in the movies, or anything about the actors from one movie to the next or so forth, there was nobody other than me who took any notice of these kinds of things. And so I thought that there weren't very many people like me in the world outside of Japan. And I found out through G-Fan that there are lots of people like me. Many of them have also grown up and been kind of isolated in the pursuit of this hobby. And so possibly the nicest thing that's come about because of this is that we've been able to find each other, and we continue to find each other. The story in the Chicago Tribune on Thursday allowed more people to find us. And so as we grow, I think a real sense of community is developing out of the fact that maybe many of us wished we knew each other when we were little kids, but we are finding each other now, and we can pursue this together, and I think the future looks very good for us just from that point of view alone. Well, I just wanted to, for those of you who haven't heard it, give a little bit of the history of G-Fan, very short. I just wanted to mention that it all started when I met 3 other G-Fans in Winnipeg at a comic show, and they didn't really know very much about the subject. They didn't know about the new series or anything, and so I produced a little fan letter just to, you know, sort of educate them, because I have friends in Japan and I have pictures and so forth, and I took out a little classified ad in Starlog, which about 30 people saw, and I just said, if you want to read about Godzilla, send $1 to me, and to send the fan letter. And it took off from there, mostly because, fortunately, some people who turned out to be very key people read that ad, and if that hadn't happened, then, well, we all wouldn't be here today. But people like Robert Biondi, who introduced John Roberto. Robert, unfortunately, isn't able to be here this weekend, but who have become real anchors in terms of producing material, good quality articles for G-Fan. And also, at this point, before I forget, John, of course, is the anchor of this convention, who's done the lion's share of the work in terms of dealing with everybody to pull it all together. And let's join for a moment and thank him very much for all.